Hello, I'm Alexis Williams, and welcome to Scaling Enterprise Agility, a podcast from Accenture and Atlassian, where we discuss how businesses can be really intentional about their ways of working. I'm joined by my co-host, Christian Kelly, and we're coming to you from the Atlassian Team 24 conference in Las Vegas. Today, we're joined by Meagan Demmin, Director of Delivery Enablement at Accenture, as she talks about Accenture's journey to enterprise agility. We hope you enjoy. Meagan, welcome back for part 3 of our podcast. Thank you again so much for being here with us. What I would love to talk to you about next, we talked a lot about the foundations in episode 1, and then we talked about resilience. What's next is really what I would love to focus on this next podcast. So can you tell us a little bit more about where you plan on heading in the future, both rock climbing and within the organization?
Absolutely. Climbing, I'm still climbing. I definitely, I've started to climb outdoors, and I want to go outdoors more. In fact, my son and I have plans to even come out here to Vegas and climb in Red Rock. So we're pretty excited about that.
Nice.
And then I think in enterprise agility within global IT, our next big move, we are in process of rolling out Jira Align. It is so fundamental to help support and sustain this agility model we've put in place. Both from PI planning and management and execution, really being kind of our central repository for our objectives and key results, and really being able to look at that as leaders and start to change the conversation and get out of those old habits of deliverables and move to how is our progress on key results. So we're really excited about layering that in and then tying our strategy to our work. So we are about 20 products in right now, getting them rolling, getting all of our foundations set up in the tool, building that self-enablement process because we know that works, and really excited to get the rest of the team in there.
Well, something you said this morning really struck me before we got on camera, which was we were bantering back and forth around the sort of 10 use cases, 8 to 10 use cases of Jira Align, and you struck me in something I haven't heard before where you said you're finding new things with the teams and actually advocating for those things. Hey, did you know you could do this? Could you say a little bit more about how you're evangelizing that and how you're finding the new things?
Oh, absolutely. When you start to embrace enterprise agility in this new way, then, particularly as you get moving into more of that strategic layer, a lot of new things come up, right? It's like, well, okay, I need to do this now, or I'd like to be able to see these cross IT impacting things and how they impact our, personas in the organization. And I'm like, oh yeah, well, Jira Align can do that, right? And so I am able to, because I've become educated in what Jira Align can do to support us, then I can really bring that into the conversation with our leaders and say, and it actually helps to reinforce that system, right? This is all connected, right? And the tools are going to help support us in getting there.
And since we're at Team 24, I must ask, what has been most exciting for you in your time here thus far? Any particular announcements that you're excited for that you've heard thus far?
Oh gosh, I'm just excited for learning more about all of the portfolio management capabilities and the like, and hearing other people's stories on their journey as well.
Yeah, it is. I think this is our largest Team 24, so it's just been amazing having all of our customers come together and really hearing them learn from each other is very exciting to just watch unfold right in front of our eyes. So it has been quite a fun few days, and I know we still have a few more to get through.
Yeah. And honestly, I would be remiss in saying I'm pretty excited about Gen AI
Yes.
in all things. So I'm excited to hear more about that as well.
Well, one thing that you say in your blog, or one of the other things that really struck me in this segment, was the idea of learning to lead.
Yes.
And it seems like that was a place where, and I know you're writing more, but that was a place that you were leaving, the last blog talking about what learning to lead meant in climbing and then how you're accelerating your enterprise agility journey. Can you tie those two things together, including, if you're okay, telling the story about somebody maybe close to you in learning to lead?
Oh, sure. So I learned to lead climb not too long ago. It's a significant step in maturing as a climber. And some people probably won't ever take that step. It's totally different from, you know, having a rope kind of attached somewhere at the top and connected to you versus you bringing the rope with you. And it becomes more of a safety mechanism and protection than something that is like almost a tool that you can use. And it requires a whole different mindset, and it requires practice. So, you know, when I learned to lead climb, it was really, I was nervous. I'm not young. what I'm doing, trying to learn to lead climb, but I did, and I was really nervous about the falling part of it. And when you learn to lead and when you get certified, you have to fall. And so when I did it, I kind of told myself I'm just gonna let go. But the belayer that I had in this class told me, don't worry about it. You've been climbing long enough that it's like muscle memory. You just let go. You will be fine. Your body will know exactly what to do. So I trusted the system. I did it. I went up there and I just let go, which I'm shocked that I actually did that, but I did. And sure enough, muscle memory kicked in. My feet went out in front of me at the wall. All was wonderful. And it was super fun. And I really enjoyed doing it. And then just recently, my son learned how to lead climb. He's 11.
That's amazing.
Wow.
He's on a climbing team, and it's part of, you know, his next level of climbing. He's going to have to lead climb, and so they start to learn in a safe way at the gym. And as a climber, I'm super stoked that my son is learning to lead climb. As a parent, it took a little percolating, you know.
Sure.
Totally different situation there.
Right?
Yeah.
But you know, I had told him the story about when I learned to lead climb, that I just, you know, I trusted the process, and I went up there and I just let go, and I'd been climbing long enough, muscle memory. And I watched him do his first lead climb and his first fall, and he was so excited, and he came down and he told me all about it. He says, "Mommy, I got up there and I just let go when it was time to fall. And it was so easy, and it was cool, and it was fun."
It's fearless.
Yeah. And, you know, I thought about that, you know, as a role model and as a parent / servant leader, right? What a parent is at the end of the day. It's like he learned from the behavior that I put forward to him, right? And had I been really nervous and maybe unsuccessful in my lead climbing attempt, I wonder, you know, how he would have reacted when it was his turn. And I was so proud of him, and just being so resilient and just learning. And I think role modeling is really important, which is what I take right back to work with me, right? Is role modeling the behaviors is so important, but also the maturity curve. And, you know, you wouldn't necessarily start lead climbing as your first foray into climbing. You might, but now there are other ways to climb, you know, at gyms and learning it more in a safe space, that you have that available to you, and you get to practice. And I think agility takes practice, right?
Yeah.
And if you practice it enough, you should have muscle memory. And I knew that my son was ready for that. But had I not trusted the system, had I not been educated on what lead climbing is, I would have absolutely held him back from his success, right? And it's the same thing at work. You know, if I'm not educated on the system, I don't trust it, or I don't think that my team has that muscle memory built up yet, I'm going to potentially derail that system for them.
How important is it that everyone is moving in the same direction? Like, you know, in rock climbing, being a lead climber, is that really important? And then I'm sure, obviously, in business, we see it all the time. Like, we have to all be rowing in the same direction.
Oh, absolutely. You have to be communicating. You have to have awareness, I think we've talked about, of what's the goal, and actually revisiting that goal, talking about that goal, and making sure everyone understands your intent in climbing and at work. And I think definitely important to understand the goals and share those intents, and to actually use the words, right? So if, for example, our team is focused on delivering to objectives and key results, and we have a leader who's looking at a red and green report about deliverables produced.
So they're over here on KPI land.
Yes.
You're in OKR
Yes.
land.
It's sending the wrong message, and it's quite confusing to the team, right?
Yes.
And so I love it when I hear leaders focused on outcomes and not on how many things did the team produce.
Yes.
Right. But when they don't, that becomes really problematic. And so, again, as you move up that agility curve, it's really important to start, bringing it up to that portfolio layer and above to make sure that they've become educated on the new language and the new ways of being as well.
Are you finding as you do that, because we're finding that you have to spend lots of time making sure that a message that you thought was there is over-communicated, and then you think you're over-communicating it, and then you need to over-communicate it again and again and again to make sure that the actual thing, that goal, is actually known sideways, north, south, throughout.
Yeah, like 20 interpretive dances later. We're like,
Right.
that is not what we said. Like, how did you
You're
miss that
How
memo?
did that message be the message? Are you finding that as you're scaling?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
And anyone who knows me would know, that really frustrates her. It frustrates anyone, right?
Yeah.
It's like, how did you not hear this? But one of the things that we do, and that my leaders have told me, is you just have to keep it front and center. Keep it, shouting it from the mountaintops. Keep engaged in all the things happening, and keep it a part of the language. And because the second you stop, everybody's busy, right? And it becomes less important. And our leaders, especially, they're extremely busy people. And so, yes, do we have to repeat and, summarize over and over and over again? Absolutely. But it's not, what I find though is it's not that necessarily that it's that they didn't hear isn't that it's unsupportive. It's just that they're busy, right? And when you take that time and really walk people through it, then they go, okay, I get this. I can get behind this. I understand it enough. And really give people avenues for how do they ask questions? How do they know more? We have a coaching team that is what we've built as part of kind of a COE in our delivery enablement organization, and they are there to respond to those things, right? Okay, my team's doing this, and I'm not sure about what I should be doing. How can you help me?
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Let's go help you now get engaged, right? Or we also do things like leadership cohorts to help our leaders really engage in a different way.
That's
Are we
interesting.
ready for top 3 or 5?
We are. So we love our top 3 or 5 lists. So thinking about your journey, what are sort of the top 3 lessons learned?
So trust your feet, for sure.
Yeah.
Set the foundation, right? Make sure you have a solid foundation in place and trust it. So make sure you have those guide rails, you've built them in. And I guess that's kind of number 2 is those guide rails, right? Make sure you have guide rails. It's not all theory, right?
Yep.
And we are absolutely running businesses, and we need to have guide rails as much as maybe our team members don't necessarily think they need them. We need them to run our business. And so don't forget about those, build them in. And then number 3, but probably most important, is celebrate along the way.
Yeah.
Even the small successes, and make those celebrations really visible.
Wow. All right, so I've been wanting to ask you this since podcast 1. A few years back, doing some work in this space, and I know nothing about climbing. I've tried a couple times, not any good at it because I haven't put the effort in, but I learned about this thing that totally fascinated me, about the leap of faith that climbers have to take to become excellent at it, the dino move. Can you describe that in non-layman's terms, and then help us out with what's your dino move?
Sure. So a dino move, which I don't do a lot of, they're super powerful moves that you literally have to, like you said, it's a leap of faith. You have to leap from one place to another, usually with some sort of leverage on a hold, and you're literally just looking at what you're going to grab and hope you stick it, right? My son loves to try dino moves because they're just very powerful. You're launching off of the wall. And so if I would say what's the dino move in enterprise agility, to me it's just starting. You just have to start. You could
That simple.
It's that simple. You can get caught up in all of the different, plans and, what's the perfect way we might look at this? What are the perfect patterns and all of these things? But the fact of the matter is you don't actually know until you start doing it. And so just starting will really start that momentum for you.
Yeah, and you're not going to get it perfect. And that is the whole point of agility, that you continue to get to iterate and get better. On that note, with enterprise agility, what do you think are the biggest misconceptions or myths about enterprise agility?
I think the biggest one is that it's risky. I think risk is all about perception and knowledge and awareness, right? And again, if you've got the right systems in place, it's really not more risky. To me, that's probably the biggest misconception. And then I think there's some others, around, I hear, or people, they can't change, right? They're very set in their ways.
Yes.
This is, a developer's a developer, an operator's an operator, a project manager's a project manager, right? And it's very hard to change, or they don't want to. And I would say that maybe there are pockets of that, but I think most people are pretty resilient in this day and age, and absolutely love the idea of upskilling and learning new things, given the opportunity and the safe space.
Yeah, I think people have shown time and time again the adaptability and that it's there, and that just the change management component is what's critical in all of that.
Yep,
Awesome.
absolutely.
Any other questions from you?
I got my dyno move, so I'm
You got your dyno move, you're happy. Thank you so much for being here with us. We've enjoyed all of our podcasts with you and really appreciate spending some time with you, Meagan. Thank you.
Same. Thank you both so much.
Thank you.
Thank you all for joining us for Scaling Enterprise Agility, a podcast from Atlassian and Accenture. Thank you as well to our special guest, Meagan Demmin from Accenture, for sharing her insights today. You can check out more about Meagan as well as the work Atlassian and Accenture are doing on enterprise agility using the links in our show notes. We'll be back with more episodes soon. Follow us now in your podcast app and you won't miss an episode.